They thought the truth could be buried forever, but now the cracks are exploding across every corner of the empire they built. The glossy image, the luxury mansion, the carefully rehearsed smiles, the victim narrative sold to millions. Suddenly it all feels shaky because one man kept pulling at threads everyone else was too afraid to touch. Tom Bauer did not simply publish a book, he detonated a warning shot. While others repeated polished headlines, he was documenting contradictions, money trails, broken relationships, suspicious timelines, and a pattern that now looks impossible to ignore. For years, many dismissed it. But look around now. The same questions once mocked are being whispered louder every single week, and when whispers become mainstream conversation, panic usually follows. Let's start with the money, because money never lies even when people do. Their lifestyle reportedly burns through millions every year: security, staff, mansion costs, travel, branding, appearances. Yet major deals that were supposed to fund this fantasy began collapsing one by one. Netflix fading, Spotify ending in embarrassment, projects overpromised and underdelivered, products launched with fanfare then drifting into silence. If the river of income slows but the spending keeps roaring, then where is the water coming from? That is the question people cannot stop asking, and when finances stop making sense, investigators often begin to care very quickly. Then comes the visa controversy, a story so uncomfortable it feels like it was wrapped in velvet and hidden in a locked drawer. Public admissions about past drug use were not vague rumors whispered by enemies. They were spoken openly, printed proudly, narrated personally. Yet consequences seemed strangely absent. Ordinary people see rules enforced every day. So why does celebrity status sometimes look like diplomatic immunity? Why do some doors open while others are slammed shut? The silence around that issue has become louder than any answer. And silence is where suspicion grows best. Then there are the family questions. Birth timelines, public inconsistencies, conflicting statements, relatives disputing narratives, old records revisited, people who once stayed quiet now talking more boldly than before. No one needs wild accusations to see why curiosity has intensified. When stories are clean, details usually line up. When they do not, every missing puzzle piece becomes irresistible. Why were some matters handled with such secrecy? Why do debates keep resurfacing years later instead of disappearing naturally? Because unresolved questions never truly die. They wait. But perhaps the most fascinating mystery is not what happened after the wedding. It is what happened before it. The fairy tale sold to the public was simple: a chance meeting, instant chemistry, destiny. But serious observers keep asking whether it was chance at all. Powerful clubs, elite circles, strategic introductions, well-connected gatekeepers, carefully curated access. These worlds do not run on accidents. They run on placement, timing, and usefulness. Which is why certain names keep resurfacing around that first meeting. Why did some connections survive while so many former friends were discarded? Why do certain figures remain untouchable in the story? Sometimes the people in the background tell you more than the people center stage. Tom Bauer's harshest criticism was never about glamour. It was about ambition without limits. A hunger not to join the spotlight, but to own it, to outrank it, to reshape institutions around personal ego. And when ambition meets status, sparks fly. But when ambition meets centuries of hierarchy, war begins. Inside the royal system, patience is currency. Years of ribbon cuttings, cold mornings, hospital visits, ceremony, restraint, discipline, smiling when tired, remaining silent when attacked. That is how legitimacy is built, slowly, quietly, painfully. Then suddenly, someone arrives expecting the crown before understanding the cost. That is not competition, that is insult. And insiders noticed immediately. The public was told jealousy caused tension, but was it jealousy or recognition? Was it envy or alarm? There is a difference. One fears being replaced, the other sees a storm coming. Some believe senior royals understood within weeks that this was not integration. It was disruption dressed in designer clothing. Meanwhile, public approval numbers shifted in a way few thought possible. Once beloved, now deeply polarizing. Once marketable, now risky. That matters more than pride. It matters to brands, investors, networks, agencies, producers, donors. In image industries, popularity is oxygen. Lose enough of it, and rooms that once welcomed you begin pretending they never had your number. And what of the marriage rumors? Allies turning cautious, friendly media softening their tone, reports hinting at distance, frustration, separate priorities. When longtime defenders begin sounding less certain, that is rarely random. Public relations machines do not leak weakness unless weakness is already impossible to hide. Now another uncomfortable possibility hangs in the air. Titles, status, formal distance, final consequences. Some believe a future reign could act decisively where the present one hesitates. Strip privileges, remove commercial leverage, close the chapter completely. Whether that happens or not, the fear of it may already be shaping behavior. Desperate tours, forced smiles, performative unity, urgent branding schemes. These can look less like confidence and more like countdown clocks. Because here is the truth, nobody can easily spin anymore. Institutions move slowly, but when they move, they crush recklessness with patience. The IRS questions have not vanished. Immigration questions have not vanished. Questions about past networks, timelines, money, influence, and manipulation have not vanished. They are multiplying, and every time someone tries to dismiss them, more people notice the dismissal itself. Tom Bauer may not have started every fire, but he helped expose where the smoke was coming from. He kept notes while others kept quiet. He named patterns while others defended branding. And now, years later, the same patterns are surfacing in plain sight. The most dangerous moment for any carefully manufactured story is not the first accusation. It is the moment ordinary people start comparing notes. What happens when the spotlight fades but the bills remain? What happens when sympathy runs dry, deals collapse, and the same media that once worshipped you starts sniffing for blood? That is where this story turns from celebrity gossip into something far darker, because the image of unstoppable success is beginning to look like a set built on hollow wood, and every fresh headline sounds like another crack in the floorboards. For years, they sold reinvention, freedom, independence, a new life beyond the palace walls. But freedom is expensive when you are addicted to luxury. Independence becomes difficult when your fame still depends on the institution you claim to escape. Every interview attacking the monarchy kept them connected to it. Every documentary criticizing royal life used royal titles to sell itself. Every public complaint became another business transaction. That contradiction may be the deepest wound in the entire saga. They wanted distance, yet needed proximity. They wanted privacy, yet monetized exposure. They wanted escape, yet could not survive without the very machine they condemned, and people noticed. The public can forgive scandal. They can forgive mistakes. They can even forgive arrogance if talent is overwhelming enough. But what they rarely forgive is hypocrisy repeated again and again until it becomes a lifestyle. That is why approval numbers falling so dramatically matter more than bruised egos. It means trust has drained away. Once trust leaves, every smile looks rehearsed, every statement sounds strategic, every new venture feels like another attempt to refill a leaking tank. Then there is Harry, the man who once seemed impossible to dislike, the rebellious prince, the charming rogue, the damaged son people wanted to protect. He once stood near the top of popularity charts, carried by affection and sympathy. Now many see a man wandering through the ruins of choices he did not fully understand when he made them. He traded legacy for grievance, brotherhood for interviews, privacy for publishing, respect for applause that vanished the moment the cameras moved on. And perhaps the cruelest part is this: he may know it now. Watch the body language in public appearances. Watch the distance in certain moments. Watch how quickly exits happen. Watch how energy changes when the performance ends. Sometimes the truth of a relationship appears not in speeches, but in the seconds between them. That is where tension lives. That is where regret breathes. That is where... Meanwhile, the palace did something devastatingly simple. It waited. No screaming rebuttals, no endless interviews, no revenge documentaries, no public begging. It absorbed the attacks, stayed mostly silent, and continued the long game. Engagements continued, crowds gathered, duties carried on, new images replaced old drama, new alliances formed, New public favorites rose. That kind of response can feel boring in the moment, but over time it becomes lethal. Because chaos burns hot and fast, stability burns slow and forever. Look at Catherine now, steady, respected, protected by years of consistency. She did not need to outshout anyone because history rewards endurance more than noise. While others chased headlines, she built credibility brick by brick. While others demanded admiration, she earned it in silence. And that contrast has become impossible to miss. One path sought instant coronation through fame. The other accepted years of duty before reward. Only one of those paths ages well. Then comes the business reality nobody glamorous enough can escape. Hollywood is transactional. It loves novelty, then abandons it. If you stop generating profit, invitations slow. If controversy outweighs audience value, executives grow cold. If every partnership turns into drama, brands choose safer faces. Doors do not slam dramatically in that world. They simply stop opening. That can be even worse. So what options remain? Another tell-all? Another reinvention? Another lifestyle launch? Another emotional interview explaining misunderstood intentions? The danger is that repetition becomes parody. Audiences know when a script is being rerun with new costumes. At some point, even supporters begin asking what is actually being built besides resentment. And then there are the questions still hovering like storm clouds no rebrand can erase: financial scrutiny, visa scrutiny, past associations, timeline disputes, strategic introductions, missing clarity on key moments. None of these stories need to explode in court to cause damage. Sometimes constant suspicion is enough. It turns every future project into a comment section battlefield. It turns every announcement into a joke before it lands. It turns image management into an exhausting full-time war. Tom Bauer understood something many missed. Scandal is not always one giant event. Sometimes it is 1,000 small inconsistencies stacking on top of each other until the structure bends under their weight. A changing story here, a failed promise there, a discarded friend, a collapsed deal, a contradiction caught on tape. None alone may destroy a reputation. Together, they become gravity, and gravity is undefeated. Some now whisper that separation, personal, commercial, or symbolic, may eventually become the only escape route. If blame can no longer be aimed outward, it usually turns inward. When money tightens, loyalty is tested. When prestige falls, resentment grows. When dreams fail, someone gets accused of ruining them. In relationships built under extraordinary pressure, that moment can be explosive.